This summer, Instacart presents famous summer flavors coming to your front door. Or pool. Or hotel.
Your grocery delivery has arrived, sir.
That was faster than room service.
No violins in the lobby.
Oh, seriously? Anyway, sit back, relax, and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Starring your favorite snacks, drinks, and more. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Rated H for hungry audiences. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
Seven things you don't really need to know, but probably should. I'm Ciara Revan, and this is the Sunday 7.
On today's episode of the award-winning Smart 7, we get up to speed on Mars water. We hear about new developments for those with severe allergies, get the latest from Guyatt on a possible Google breakup, and find out how smart horses are. Remember, if you're enjoying this episode, please do like and share, and you can follow us for the 7 biggest stories every morning at 7 a.m. on the Smart 7. And it was on this day in 1966 that the Tay Road Bridge was opened by the Queen Mother. The bridge replaced a ferry service across the Tay estuary at 42 spans. It is almost 1.5 miles long and remains one of the longest bridges in Europe. Space and space exploration continues to make headlines this week, with NASA and Boeing still struggling to make a decision about what to do with the stranded crew of Boeing's Starliner. Looking further afield, though, there was big news from the Red Planet. The goal of NASA's current Artemis project is one to prepare mankind for a trip to Mars, with the intention of landing a crew on the surface of our neighbour in the next 10 years. One of the long-standing questions about Mars is whether or not there is water on the planet, which will be critical to sustain long-term life there. And this week saw new information from the InSight mission, which landed a probe on Mars back in 2018. The probe used seismograph equipment to make its discovery, as Vashan, Wright, an assistant professor at the Scripps Institute, explains.
So the purpose of the InSight mission was to learn about the evolution of Mars as a planet. For work that I've been a part of, the most interesting finding is this present one, that there is large amounts of liquid water in the subsurface of the planet itself. The liquid water is roughly 11 to 20 kilometers beneath the subsurface, and getting that liquid water would be quite challenging. Water affects just about everything about a planet's evolution. In Mars, we get to see a water cycle without humans. We know that water is a key ingredient for life as we know it. It means that it's potentially habitable in the mid-crust of Mars. Mars once looked like Earth 3 billion years ago, and now it doesn't. It's dry and it's desolate. And so a big question is, where's the water? Where did it go?
These deep underground water reservoirs will be difficult to access, but their very existence is seen as a good sign for the potential development of a long-term Mars base, according to Professor Michael Manga of the University of California.
We've identified places on Mars where there are large amounts of liquid water. Water is the most important molecule in shaping the evolution of a planet and its climate, and we've identified how much of it is present and where it's sitting.
The layer of water was detected through analysis of so-called Marsquakes, and Professor Caroline Smith of the Natural History Museum says it's just the first step of the subsurface exploration.
Now, just as we do on Earth using something called geophysics, so it's the physics of the Earth, we can use the way that the earthquakes sort of propagate and the different types of waves they produce to actually get an idea of what's in the interior of the planet. And so the scientists in Mars have used data from over 1,000 Marsquakes that InSight detected, and they've used that with some clever maths and some clever sort of computer modelling to actually determine that probably about 11.5 to 20 kilometres down in Mars's crust there is igneous rock, so sort of the rocks that you get coming out of volcanoes, that type of rock, but that it's heavily fractured, and maybe about 10 to 20% of that rock is fractured, and in that fracturing is water, liquid water.
Back on Earth this week, there's been a big one for meteor showers, with the sky lighting up as the annual Perseid meteor shower has been taking place. Lucy Spencer is a science communicator, and she explains what exactly is going on when we see so many shooting stars.
Meteor showers happen when the Earth passes through the debris of a comet, and a comet leaves behind a trail of dust and gas. So when the Earth orbits the Sun, we pass through this trail and the dust burns up in our atmosphere, causing these meteor showers or shooting stars. Now, the Perseids meteor shower comes from the comet Swift-Tuttle, and we pass through its trail every summer, and you can actually see up to 100 meteors an hour. And the Perseids are active until the 24th of August. The next meteor shower coming up is the Draconids, which peaks on the 8th of October with up to 10 meteors an hour.
It's been another busy week in tech with Google in deep water, Elon Musk struggling to do a fairly basic live broadcast with Donald Trump, and a robot taxi rebellion in San Francisco. When it comes to all things tech, whether it's a tech bro technical nightmare or a monopoly shaking court case, there's only one man we can trust to unpick the threads, and that's the Smart 7's tech guru Will Guyatt. So, Will, we heard last week about Google losing that monopoly case when it came to their search engine, but things have gotten worse this week, right?
When the US government's Justice Department announces publicly that it's started talks to consider how to break up Google to stop this absolute domination of its search engine business, you know that an almighty battle is coming. It's really rare for the US government to get involved in the running of US-based global successes like Google, and it shows.
When the US government says break up, what actually happens? Does Google have to sell Chrome or AdWords to a third party?
Sounds almost unimaginable, but yes, those are some of the options many believe are possible. It could also happen that they give all the valuable data from Google's search engine to its rivals, or stop the behind-the-scenes big money deals that makes Google the default search engine on Apple iPhones and other devices, because Google currently pays billions of dollars per year for the privilege of being your search engine.
If a breakup is impossible, are we just talking about some kind of astronomical fine?
It's hard to predict, and even harder to predict when business analysts say that Google is now a global juggernaut worth around $2 trillion US. What kind of fine would really stop this sort of dominant behaviour? But whatever happens, technology will never, ever, ever be the same again.
And in the midst of all this, Google made the classic mistake of doing a live demo of new tech. Will we take a listen to how the Google Gemini demo went?
Check my calendar and see if I'm free when she's coming to San Francisco this year. Let's see if the demo spirits are with us today. Nope. Looks like they're not with us. All right. Let me try that one more time on another device.
What was he trying to do?
History pretty much tells us never to show off hot new tech features in this way. We always know it looks better when it works, but when it fails like this, your product looks like a complete turkey. They tried 3 times to demonstrate how Google's Gemini AI would work on its latest range of premium phones. They go on sale later this month. And on the first live demo, they tried to get Gemini to scan and analyze a picture of Sabrina Carpenter's upcoming tour dates to see if she was coming to San Francisco. The presenter of this demo even said he hoped the demo gods were with him, but they definitely weren't. Thousands in the room and many more around the world saw him take another 2 attempts at trying to show off this AI feature, and none of them worked. He was just left there in stony silence. This is another bad week for Google and a very rocky start for Gemini AI.
We haven't even had time to talk about Elon's disastrous live space with Donald Trump. He said it was delayed by a cyber attack. I'm going to assume that was nonsense.
There's not really a huge deal left for me to say about the live stream, apart from Elon Musk suggested another Trump presidency was destiny. And for the rest of the almost 2 hours, Trump was essentially getting free hits on his election rival, while Musk said fairly constantly for the rest of the time. They started around 45 minutes late due to what Musk said was a massive denial of service attack on X. That's a pretty agricultural form of hack. You overload a server with traffic and it stops responding. Most network companies say they couldn't see any sort of external interference, just a platform struggling with early demand. And despite Musk claiming that they tested the stream for up to 8 million viewers, it looked to hit a maximum peak at around about 1.2 million viewers. All evidence still points to poor preparation and not cyber attacks attempting to silence the Donald and Elon show.
And finally, there seems to be a mini robot rebellion going on in San Francisco. What's causing this at 4 a.m?
The streets of San Francisco are awash with these self-driving robot taxis, and by and large, they're actually doing a pretty decent job, considering this is relatively new technology trying to compete with the absolute unpredictability and erratic behaviour of human beings, particularly in San Francisco. A recent software update saw the fleet of Waymo taxis finding their way back to a registered car park in the city to wait for jobs. But the newly added feature saw the vehicle honk its horn if another car got too close to it, and this was routinely being triggered by other Waymos going about their business. So if one car had to move to do a job, it was ultimately activating the horns on a huge chunk of the self-driving cars parked up. And worst of all, there were no humans there to stop the robo-taxis. Turns out that cars loved returning to a particular car park around 4 a.m. every morning to charge up, and that ruined the sleep of local residents. But thank you to a video of the robo-commotion that went viral, the company quickly fixed the software problem. Waymo is owned by Alphabet, Google's parent company, so if it never rains, it pours.
Still to come on Sunday 7, a game changer for allergy sufferers, and we find out how smart horses really are. Medical technology is improving at speed, offering developments intended to make the lives of those with long-term conditions easier. We've seen the rise in home testing kits recently aimed at providing quicker and earlier diagnosis for conditions like cancer or diabetes, and now there are new developments on the way to make treatment easier. Type 1 diabetics currently have to inject themselves several times a day with insulin, but a new innovation could change that. Dr. Sara Kayat, this morning's resident GP, explains the invention.
Scientists currently have developed a smart insulin, which essentially stays dormant within your body and springs into action whenever it's needed to bring down that blood sugar level, with the aim that you only have to inject maybe only one time a week. Timelines and things like that haven't been developed on this study yet, but the scientists were saying that they think this is the closest we're going to get to a cure.
There are new developments too for those who suffer from severe allergic reactions. Currently, sufferers need to carry an EpiPen to inject themselves with in order to prevent an anaphylactic shock. But that may soon be a thing of the past, as a nasal spray could do the job just as effectively, particularly for parents who might be anxious about administering an injection. Dr. Celine Gounder is from CBS News.
So Neffy is epinephrine, the same medication that is in the EpiPen, but it's delivered through the nose rather than through an injection. It seems to be as effective as the EpiPen, which is great news. And I think for a lot of parents are just as afraid of needles as kids are oftentimes. And so this gives a nice alternative to make sure that parents are not afraid to give this life-saving treatment. That is not necessarily definitive treatment for the allergy. It should be seen as a rescue, but additional treatment may be needed in the ER.
The American Food and Drug Administration has approved the nasal spray called Neffy, but it's not clear how long it will be before it's available in the UK. Dr. John Torres, medical contributor for NBC's Today Show, says it could be a game changer.
The manufacturer, ARS Pharmaceuticals, says this product will be available probably within 8 weeks, and so be able to get it. You should be able to carry it. It's going to be much easier to carry. You just, in your pocket, in your purse, wherever. It's right now they're saying $199 is going to be the cash price for 2 of these devices. If you have insurance, $25, and they say if you can't afford that, they will certainly work with people because they want to make sure people have this. This is a life-saving device because when it comes to anaphylaxis, seconds are important.
Mankind has a fairly firm list of which animals we regard as intelligent. Obviously, our monkey cousins, dolphins, the octopus and maybe crows or parrots. But up until now, we probably wouldn't have put horses on the list. But new research suggests that our four-legged friends are far smarter than we thought. Researchers at Nottingham Trent University discovered that horses are intelligent enough to work out how to play a treat-based game with rules that changed and evolved. There's never been any doubt about horses' emotional intelligence and the rapport that they build with their owners, as ITV News found out when they visited a yard on the Gower Peninsula. They spoke to riders and the owner, Alison Jones.
They pick up emotions really easily. It's like if you're upset, they'll come and comfort you and stuff, and if you're happy, then they'll pick up on that.
Say if I come to a fence and I'm quite nervous, he'll get nervous. And then when I'm going into it with very positive thoughts, he just jumps it perfectly.
From my own perspective, which has been, schooling horses and training them over a lifetime, all their senses are massively heightened from ours, which makes it appear as if they've got a sixth sense.
Louise Evans is one of the researchers on the project, and she says the test was designed to prove that horses are capable of planning and thinking ahead.
It's a little bit like humans playing chess. So you can think a couple of steps ahead. If I move here, then this might happen. And that's something that's actually quite complex. And we didn't think horses could do that. But our study suggests that actually they might be able to do something similar to that.
Still to come on the Sunday 7, could fungi be the solution to plastic pollution? And we catch up with a bed bug detecting dog.
Right after this.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Welcome back.
Global warming aside, one of the biggest issues humanity faces is plastic pollution. We're drowning in plastic with more produced every year and only 9% of it effectively recycled. And that's before we even consider the situation with microplastics that have worked their way into every aspect of the environment. Mankind has been struggling to find answers, and later this year in South Korea, the first ever global plastic treaty is due to be signed this year. The idea of finding friendly fungus to eat their way through the excess plastic has been around for a while, and scientists have identified 400 species so far that are keen on consuming plastic waste. A team in Germany has discovered new strains of microfungi who can thrive on only plastic without any other carbon source. There's currently testing on 18 different strains on Lake Stechlin in northeastern Germany, and Hans-Peter Grossart, who is head of the research group at the Leibniz Institute of Freshwater Ecology and Inland Fisheries, says the discovery could be potentially important.
Our fungi could exclusively grow on some of the synthetic polymers and even form biomass. This is exceptional because it clearly demonstrates that these fungi are quite capable in degrading the synthetic polymers. I would suggest to produce less plastics and release less plastic into the environment. I don't think this would be a final solution because adding more of something into an environment would cause additional problems and may destroy the entire ecosystem.
Researcher at the Institute of Sabreen Samuel Ibrahim Dawoud says that she was surprised at how quickly the fungi were able to impact the plastic samples.
That it could work. That I found by the end of 3 months, some fungi could grow and produce normal mycelia. As it's really surprising because I thought from the first moment that it takes years, as the other literature said. But for our conditions, I saw that it takes only 3 months and I could take some of mycelia.
A new study this week has raised serious concerns over the rates of cancer in men. The study, published in the journal Cancer, says that the data analysed across 185 countries suggests that there could be an 84% rise in male cancer and a 93% rise in male deaths from cancer by 2050. It's partly down to lifestyle, as men tend to smoke and drink alcohol at higher levels than women. Prostate cancer is another male cancer that often goes undetected until it's at life-threatening level. Dr. Jonathan Lapook is a professor of medicine at New York University, and he's also CBS's chief medical correspondent. He says that part of the reason for the rise is the continued growth in global population combined with an ageing population in the Western world.
Without being, too common, I would just say a lot of that increase is because of the increase in population that's expected. So, there's about 8 billion people, a little more in the United States. In the world now, it's going to be about 10 billion. Right? So just by the fact that there are more people, aging population, there are going to be more deaths. Well, it turns out a 2020 study showed that around the world, the death rate from cancer in men is about 43% higher than in women. Why? Right. They're trying to figure that out. But, there's certain risk factors. For one thing, men around the world, tobacco, by far the biggest risk factor. About a third of men around the world smoke. And in the United States, about 13% versus 10%. But around the world, it's about 30% versus 6.5%. And then alcohol and some other risk factors.
The Paris Olympics seemed to go somewhat better than expected. Hardly anyone got ill from swimming in the Seine. There seems to have been relatively few cases of athletes using drugs. And of course, Team GB came home with a suitcase full of medals. However, there's one thing that Olympics and supporters alike might have brought back unwittingly, and that is bedbugs. There was an international panic last year as Paris struggled with a wave of bedbug infestations, and the tiny creatures love a bit of international travel. But one nation is prepared to stop them in their tracks, and that is South Korea. They've developed Seiko, not a robot, an actual dog who has the ability to detect bedbugs by scenting their pheromones. Kim Minsu is a researcher at the pest control company tasked with checking arriving travellers, and he explains what makes 2-year-old beagle Seiko so special.
Our bedbug sniffing dog Seiko has a brain area for detecting the pheromone scent specific to bedbugs that is about 40 times larger than that of humans. So the accuracy in locating bedbugs based on their scent is over 95%. It can be sensitive for travelers to have someone open their suitcases. There used to be a process where people visually inspect items, which could be cumbersome. But our bedbug sniffer dog Seiko can detect bedbugs with just about a third of the zipper on a suitcase opened by sniffing the air inside, which is a significant advantage.
This has been the Sunday 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the regular Smart 7. Have a great rest of your weekend. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.
If there's one thing that my family and friends know me for, it's being an amazing gift giver. I owe it all to Celebrations Passport from 1-800-Flowers.com, my one-stop shopping site that has amazing gifts for every occasion. With Celebrations Passport, I get free shipping on thousands of amazing gifts. And the more gifts I give, the more perks and rewards I earn. To learn more and take your gift giving to the next level, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.